Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited. Isis, Escape from Transylvania. The goddess next door and John Haynes must escape a horde of vampires on the hunt in this horror-filled Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Escape from Transylvania in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. I got a comment from one of my viewers who said that because the Superfly remake was made by a black producer, it had nothing to do with white supremacy. And this individual has shown me that they know absolutely nothing about the entertainment industry or the power that white supremacy has as related to the entertainment industry. Now, as Professor Black Truth has said in many of his videos, the entertainment industry is the propaganda arm of white supremacy. And I know this for a fact as someone who has studied the entertainment industry for over 25 years. And as the propaganda arm of white supremacy, they promote ideas that fit the white supremacist narrative as related to black people. And Superfly is a film that fits the narrative of white supremacists, and because it fits the narrative of white supremacists, that's why they bought that film, and that's why they distributed that film on all those movie screens across the country. Now, in order to understand the power of white supremacy and media, you have to understand how the business of Hollywood works. Yes, a black man can go out here and produce an independent film. However, if he wants to get that film put on the screens of movie theaters across this country, he has to sign a distribution deal with a movie studio. And the only way you're going to get a distribution deal with a movie studio is if your film fits the narrative that white supremacists want to see regarding black people. And Superfly fits the narrative of what white supremacists want to see regarding the black image. And what the white supremacist wants to see regarding the black image are stereotypes as related to black men being criminals, black men being pimps, black men abusing women, black men using drugs, black men selling drugs, black men pimping and prostituting women, black men being sexual deviants, and black men being violent. All of those things fit what the white supremacist wants to see regarding the black male image. And because he wants to see that black male image, he's going to go to these sold out black producers and he's going to buy their film. And after he buys their film, he's going to develop a promotional campaign to go out here and sell this movie to the masses, and he's going to put that movie on all the screens of these theaters across the country. And that's how much power white supremacy has in the film industry. If white supremacists want to buy your film, they're going to buy your film, and then they're going to distribute your film all across the country to all of these movie theaters for everyone to see. That's where white supremacy comes in as related to this Superfly movie. Yes, a black producer made this film. However, that film would not be on any of those movie theaters, and at any of those movie theaters, it would not have any posters for advertising. It would not have any promotion on television. No one would know about that film unless those white supremacists in Hollywood bought the rights to that film and then made efforts to go out here to advertise and promote, that film all across this country. Because you need a studio's support in order to get your film out there to a large audience. There are many black filmmakers out there who make films and have them made, but because their films do not fit the narrative of white supremacy and do not tell the story that white supremacists want to hear, many times these films do not get any sort of distribution to movie theaters, whether it be a limited release or a wide commercial release like Superfly got. In many cases, many of these filmmakers, oftentimes the best they can do is a direct-to-video deal or a streaming deal And that's the only thing that they can get as related to distribution. And some filmmakers, even though they put all their money into a film, can't even get that. So you have to understand the power that white supremacy has towards perpetuating the black image. And what's really dangerous about white supremacy having so much control over the black image is that that control over the image can influence a generation of men and boys, girls, and men and women to see themselves a certain way. And one of the reasons why I said black people needed to boycott Superfly 2018 is because I understood the impact that the 1970s Superfly had on my father's generation in the black community. Now, in my father's generation, this was the only image that African Americans had of a black man in a film. And because black people were desperate, they went to go flock to see this movie. And because they saw this movie, they imbibed the images in that film and believed that this was the way that black people were supposed to behave. And because of this Superfly movie, what we had, instead of black men and black women working towards becoming black professionals and building their own community through black-owned businesses, we had a generation of black men and women aspiring to be pimps, and we had a generation of black women aspiring to be hoes, and all that degeneracy and debauchery was part of the reason why the black community went into decline, because this film was not just a film. As Professor Black Truth has said in his videos, these films and media, they are programming, and they're designed to program an idea into your mind for how you should live. So when you watch a film like Superfly, you are not just watching entertainment. You are seeing ideas for how to live. And when many of those men who were in my father's generation saw that image in Superfly, instead of them aspiring to go out here and build a strong family, they aspired to be pimps, they aspired to be drug dealers, they aspired to go get these Cadillacs and these Cadillac Eldorados and these Chrysler Cordobas, and they aspired to wear these flashy suits, and they were all about flash, and they weren't about anything as related to substance in working towards building and maintaining a black community. They weren't about building and maintaining a strong black family. No, many of these guys were out on the street being so-called pimps and players running around chasing women, but they weren't out here trying to chase or build anything as related to economics or building a black community that could create a competitive economy that could compete on an international scale. That's what black people lost when they watched Superfly, because when they saw Superfly, what happened was all they thought about were being pimps, all they thought about was crime, all they thought about was selling drugs, and that's what they thought about instead of thinking about building their community. Now I'll give you another example of how media can influence people, and that was in 1984 when Bill Cosby created The Cosby Show. Now, Bill Cosby's Cosby Show, what that did was it inspired black people to become professionals, and it inspired black people to go out here and build towards developing a positive image of black people and building a strong black family. And in 1988, when he launched A Different World and showed us the world of a black college, that show inspired numerous black people to go out here and go to college and start working on getting an education that would help them have a career. So that's how powerful media is, and that's how important it is for black people to understand the power of image, the power of media, and the power of having control over your own media. This is another problem that black people don't understand about media, because when you understand the power of image and how it can influence a generation of people and how it can influence you to see yourself and how it can influence others to see yourself and your community, you understand why it's important to make sure you put the right images in media out there of yourself. You don't see any white people talking about how they're going to be pimps. You don't see any Hispanic people talking about how they're going to be pimps. You don't see any Asian people talking about how they're going to be pimps in a movie. No, whenever you see a white person, a Hispanic person, or an Asian person, you're always seeing them talking about business. You always see them talking about entrepreneurship. Always see them talking about building businesses and building wealth. Or if they do have these romance comedies, again, they're always talking about a relationship as related to economics. You don't ever see any white or non-black person sitting there having a movie where they're sitting there talking about how much crime they're going to commit and then being proud of the crimes that they're committing. Even Italians out here, as related to many of these mob films, they're not very comfortable with those images because those images, as they see it, are degrading to them. But black people, we take pride in these images, not understanding how they negatively impact us and how they promote white supremacist narratives as related to our image. Because when you look at images like Superfly, all they do is validate the ideas that white supremacists want to see, not show who we really are. And that's what makes it really sad about seeing a black producer going out here to make a movie like Superfly, is that here we have a black person who should know better, who's gone out here to make this film, and they're believing that this is a positive image of black people that needs to be promoted, and that this is the image that we need to be promoted in the media. When in actuality, what this person is doing is they have betrayed their race, and when they have betrayed their race by going out here and promoting the same stereotypes that a white supremacist would present about black people in their own film. When it comes down to the white supremacists enjoy seeing images of black people being pimps. They enjoy seeing images of black people selling drugs. They enjoy seeing images of black women being prostitutes. They enjoy seeing images of black men going out here and committing crimes. And why do they enjoy these images, and why are they entertained by these images? Because these images make that white man and that white woman feel comfortable about their place in America, and it makes them feel comfortable because they know that as long as that black person is shown in an image at the bottom, they can feel comfortable about their place in America. They know that when they see that image of that pimp, they know that that black person is beneath them, and they know that that black person is never going to rise, no matter how much money they have, because as long as he sees himself at the bottom of the world, that's not someone that that white supremacist needs to take seriously, because they know that as long as he's a bottom feeder like a pimp or a scavenger like a prostitute or a drug dealer, that's not someone who's going to challenge the white supremacist economic system. And that's why they find seeing a character like Superfly to be entertainment, because that entertainment validates the idea in their mind that a white man will always be supreme, a white woman will always be supreme, and that their standard of living will always be higher than that of a black person. Because the way a pimp lives is scavenging at the bottom of the world, and that white man in corporate America who's sitting there in those offices or sitting there at one of these jobs, he can go and say to himself that as long as this black man is down at the bottom of the world, he feels comfortable about his place in the world. And that's why white supremacists go out of their way to go out here and buy films like Superfly, because again, it promotes the narrative that they want to see about black people, and it makes them feel comfortable about their place in America. And that's what these black producers didn't understand about making a remake of Superfly. They thought they were just making a movie, not understanding what this movie means and what these images mean overall. These images, they have an impact on people, they have an influence on people, and they are all designed to fit a narrative that people want. And when a narrative doesn't fit what people want, that's when Hollywood gets upset, like they did with the case of Nate Parker and Birth of a Nation. They didn't like the idea of a black man standing up for himself And that's why they went on a campaign and recruited black women to destroy that film's image and destroy it in the media before it got out, because they didn't want that narrative going out regarding black men. Nor do they like ideas of seeing black men being educated professionals or black men talking about owning their own business. So they don't like seeing those images in media, and they don't like seeing those narratives presented on screen in their films. And that's why if you make a film and you have a black male character who is heterosexual as a leader, an authority figure, or a father, these films are not films that Hollywood is going to go out of their way to go out and buy at their movie studios and distribute to movie theaters, because they don't want those ideas being promoted, and they don't like those ideas being presented to the audience of masses. Because if those ideas get out there that black men are educated, professional, responsible fathers who can take care of their homes, who can lead their homes and be responsible for their homes, it refutes their narrative that they have in their media, and it refutes many of the ideas that people have designed and promoted regarding the black man. Because if you make the image of the black man to be equal to that of the white man, then the white man cannot be supreme in his own eyes. And then with his own media, he wants to make sure that he is number one, he is elevated to a high position, and that he is seen as the ultimate ideal of what to be. And that's why they go out of their way to go out here and make films like Superfly and promote images like Superfly, because those images keep the black man at the bottom, and as long as he's at the bottom of the world, then they don't have to worry about him making any sort of challenge to the white man or the white male image or the concept of the white male image. And that's why they don't like to see positive images of black men in media, especially positive images of heterosexual black men, because those black men are showing that they are not only going to be leaders of their community, but they're going to be authority figures, and they're going to show you a model for manhood of a man who is going to be a father who fathers children. And that's something that terrifies white supremacists because of their low birth rates, and seeing the whole idea of a black man come up again. They don't want to see that because they want to keep the idea in their mind that the white man is supreme, and them seeing a black man at the bottom of the world enables them to keep that fantasy in their mind instead of having to deal with the reality of a changing world. If you'd like to try some of my positive SJS Direct publications like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, The Temptation of John Haynes, and the Spinsterella trilogy, you may do so by clicking the link to Amazon.com in the description box. And if you want to help me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.